The entire World Uprooted expansion is now revealed with a huge drop of the rest of the cards that just happened today. Let's go ahead and rapid fire through them all and give our thoughts. Mecha Boomerang Elf, 2/2/2 Silver Machina card. Last words, at the start of your next turn, put a random Machina card with the lowest cost from your deck into your hand. Pretty good card for Machina. 2/2/2 stat line is just something you'll be fine with running, and it's easy to pull your bagworms with this, which you can then use to consistently get Damien, and of course the Iron Glider Elf also helps with that. So lots of tools for Machina Forestcraft in this expansion, and I quite like this one because again, 2/2/2, you can just play it on 2 without feeling too bad about it at all, especially since it's a 2/2/2 that draws. It's a 2/2/2 that tutors, a very important combo piece. Just seems like if you're playing Machina Forestcraft, this is going to be something that you run. Moving on, Forest Hatcheteer, 6/4/4, deal 3 damage to a random enemy follower and then the enemy leader. I think this is too slow. Probably a take 2 card in rotation. I don't really see what its place would be. Next up, Ferrymen here. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Fanfare, summon 2 fairies at the end of your turn, give +1/+1 to all allied fairies. Pretty cool. I think good in Natura, right? Due to Blossom Spirit and just the fairy generators that you like to run in Natura. In Amataz, I think it's kind of less relevant. It's pretty expensive for Amataz, and the effect is at the end of the turn rather than on Fanfare, which you can't use to capitalize on the storm, right? So, interesting. A fairy card that benefits Natura more than it does Amataz, in my opinion. And it's alright in that case, because you can kind of run slower cards in Natura because it's not just full-out aggro like Amataz is. How good this card actually ends up being, not super sure, but it's not bad because by itself it's just a 4 play point 4/4 body, right? With a persistent effect that lasts for quite a few turns here. So, not a terrible card, and I think it's quite interesting how it manages to benefit Natura, like I said, more than Amataz, despite also being a fairy synergy card. Pretty cool. Fairy Officer, 5/3/4. Bronze, put 2 fairies into your hand, then deal X damage to an enemy follower. X equals the number of fairies in your hand. Pretty interesting card. Not terrible, but a little slow. But it could end up doing huge work for you mid-game if your hand is just absolutely stacked with fairy stuff, right? Again, in Amataz, I think it's a bit heavy, but maybe in a slower deck it could be used. Although I'm not as sold on this one, to be honest with you, just because the stat line is kind of weak for the 5 cost. It is nice in that it can 2 for 1, and it gives you fairies, right? So it's not a terrible card, but yeah, I think it might be a little slow, a little bit less impactful. Yeah, okay, moving on. Spring Leaf Sprite, 2/2/2, Natura card. Add X to the number of cards played this turn. X equals the number of allied Natura cards in play. Not super sure on this one. You can use it to boost your Arya's Whirlwind. You can use it to awaken your Gaia, right? That could be good as well. But it just seems like it's not super impactful. I don't know. I think you probably have better 2-drops. Depends on how fast you want to awaken your Gaia, I guess. But yeah, it's alright. I don't think it works as well with May, if I'm parsing the effect correctly, thinking through like how Reno works with May as well. You might go over the 4 cards, right, and then you don't invoke the May properly, I think, which would be ungood. But yeah, 2/2/2, pretty mediocre card. Only real reason to use it is to boost your Whirlwind or your Gaia, which I think you can kind of get away with not running this and boosting those the regular way with Ethers and stuff. Ironback Beetle, 1/1/1. Bronze Machina Rush. If you have 4 other cards played this turn, summon another one. And they have Clash if any other allied Machina followers are in play, gain +1/+1. Not bad, especially for how cheap it is, right? And the fact that you're likely to play a lot of times with this 4 other cards in a turn thing. You can also use the Spring Leaf Sprite with this, but kind of weird because it's Natura and Machina, unless you want to bridge it with Natura al Machinas. I don't know. There's a whole lot of possibilities here. The question is, are they any good? Not super sold yet, But this one, in a pure Machina deck, I mean, if you're running Cleft, is also reliant on playing a ton of cards in a single turn, then this one is pretty good. And Machina Forest is pretty much about getting on the board, right? Not letting go. Oh, this helps with that. It does. And the fact that it's so cheap means that you can weave it in pretty easily on turns where you play a ton of cards, which is quite nice. Moving on, take to the canopies. 2 play points. Give an allied follower +1/+1 rush and follower strike. Deal X damage to the enemy follower before it can deal any damage in return. X equals this follower's attack. Card is I think probably not worth running most of the time. Yeah. Alright, move on. There's been a lot of cards like this in the past that have been kind of underwhelming. This one in particular, it's okay. It's alright. But I don't think it's worth running in anything, to be honest with you. Okay? Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Next up, moving on to Swordcraft. Get through this. Gelt, Resolute Knight. Gelt is back. 3/3/3. Good stat line. Officer. Fanfare if an allied commander card is in play. Gain a rush. Last words, at the start of your next turn, put a random commander card from your deck into your hand. Pretty good, actually. Great stat line. Good effect. Can draw. Does get buffed by Pompous Prince, which we talked about last time. That's quite nice. You can get a 4/4 rush guy that draws you a card. That's pretty nice. So, pretty good tool for Swordcraft here, I think. Is Officer Commander going to be better than the other options Swordcraft has right now? I think this can work, yeah. I think this is not bad. Just thinking on it a little bit. Does it fit into the current Evo Sword? Not so sure. But it's not a bad card by any means. Moving on. Panther Scout. Wait, hold up. Let me think about Gelt a little more. I think there's potential here. Because of Pompous Prince being able to buff it. The fact that it has a good stat line. And it draws you a card on top of that. Yeah, okay. Next up, Panther Scout. 2/2/2. Officer and Natura. Straight up, no conditions. Fanfare, recover 1 play point, which is amazing. Absolutely incredible. Or Enhance 8, you recover 7 play points, so it becomes a 1 play point 5/5. That's great also. On the Enhance 8, this becomes another target for Regal Wildcat, which is amazing. Of course, the Fanfare recover 1 play point just helps you get more and more King's Mights as well in a Natura deck with Balian in it. And again, just as a card by itself, being able to go turn 1 a card, turn 2 Panther Scout 1-drop is amazing. Pretty much at any point in the game you play Panther Scout, it's amazing because 1 play point is really easy to weave in with other plays. And this also gets buffed by Pompous Prince, and it synergizes with Balian and Wildcat, so very strong card. 11 Beastmaster, 2/2/2, Enhance 6, summon 2 white tigers and change them into 11 followers. 11 card, a bit of 11 support here. Evolve, also summon a white tiger and change it to 11 follower. So if you play this on 6 and evolve it, you get a 4/4 and 3/2 wards that can't be targeted. That's pretty good. And also just playing it on Evo without the enhance is also good. Getting a white tiger, extra body, extra ward that can't be targeted while gaining full Evo stats for a 2-drop. So I think this card is very strong. Very, very strong. And hopefully it gives Levin a bit of a push so that it can become relevant yet again in rotation. That would be nice. Gizmo Courier, 2/2/2, Officer and Machina. If you have at least 3 other Officer cards in your hand, gain +2 attack and rush, okay? If you have at least 3 other Machina cards in your hand, draw a card. I think this is very relevant in Machina Swordcraft. It's just a better statted hoverboard mercenary in this case. And the fact that there is now Officer Machina dual traits means that it's possible to get this effect activated as well. So you can get a 4/2 rush that draws you a card. It's just a better hoverboard merc in tons of ways. So I think this card is going to be relevant in Machina Swordcraft, particularly. Moving on, Nightclad Assassin, 3/2/2, Officer, Ambush, Bane, Fanfare, Enhanced 5, gain +4 defense. Pretty bad. Moving on. I think this is probably just a take 2 card or something. I don't think it's very good. Impact Soldier, we've talked about this one already. Okay, moving on. We Merchant's Appraisal, 3 play points, put a Gilded Goblet and Gilded Necklace in your hand, recover 1 evolution point. Honestly, not bad. Not amazing, but not bad. More Evos for Swordcraft is pretty cool, even though they already have so many free Evos, right? The fact that there's a lot of cards now that recover play points and are super cheap means you can probably weave in We Merchant's Appraisal much easier. For example, playing Patrick or Panther Scout, and then using your remaining play points to get an evolution point back, and then being able to evolve that thing. It's not bad. I feel like if Swordcraft didn't have those cards that recover play points, this card would be a lot worse. But as it stands, I think it's okay. Moving on. Oh, we've talked about this one already. Okay. Go ahead and find Silvers here. Earth Sorceress, Runecraft Silver, Natura Follower, 2/1/3. Fanfare, draw X cards. X equals the number of allied amulets in play. Great card. It's amazing Earthright support, which is very relevant. Talking about this next card. Wait, no. Well, this one also. Okay, these next few cards. Vergewalker Magician, 2/2/2. Fanfare, put an Earth Essence into your hand. Okay. Evolve. Earthright, deal 2 damage to all enemy followers. Earthright 2, deal 4 damage instead. So you have to take out 2 Earth Sigils, it looks like, to proc this effect, but oh, this is really good. This is very good. Full Evo 2-drop that does a 2 damage AoE, or even a 4 damage AoE is very, very strong. Helps with this. You can draw through your deck after playing your essences, then clear, and then, of course, this other card that I want to talk about, Spellbinder's Preparation. 0 cost Earth Sigil. Last words, if you have 20 cards or less in your deck, summon a Guardian Golem. This one is mildly relevant, I feel like, in rotation. Maybe more so because of Earth Sorceress, but also very good in Take 2. And what I really want to talk about with this one in particular is that this makes Magissa a lot better, being able to have a 0 play point Earth Sigil to combo with your Magissa. And of course, you can also have a 0 play point Earth Sigil to combo with Earth Sorceress to just draw through your deck a little faster. So I think Earthright is getting quite a big push with this expansion, which is very exciting. These 3 cards I expect to see in Earthright, should it be relevant next set, because they all seem good, especially this one really helping out the deck. So, yeah, quite pleased with that. Moving on. Frostrude Knight, 5/4/5. If any allied amulets are in play, return 1 to your hand and transform a random enemy follower with the highest attack in play into a snowman. I think it's a little heavy for what it does. I don't think it's going to be super relevant in Natura Rune. I think they'll probably not opt to run this one just because it's so heavy. It is pretty good pseudo hard removal. Maybe in Take 2 it's more relevant, but in rotation I think it's not flexible enough to run this. Ethereal Golem, 9/8/8. Crystallize 2 Earth Sigil, deal 3 damage to an enemy follower. Fanfare, deal 6 damage to an enemy follower. Way more relevant for this Crystallize. I don't think this is gonna really be a thing. This one, I think, is gonna be much more relevant for the Earthright deck that I just was talking about. On a Fanfare, this is just way too heavy to be good. But as a 2 play point, deal 3 Earth Sigil, wonderful. More Earth Sigils and early removal to build up into your Magissa on turn 3. Yes, please. Magic Absorption, 3 play point bronze spell. Banish an enemy follower with 2 defense or less. If you have 20 cards or less in your deck, banish any enemy follower instead. Draw a card. Not a bad card at all. You banish a follower and you draw a card. Seems pretty alright to me. Not amazing, but very, very good. In Take 2, it's even better. With this 20 cards or less effect, it's like pretty amazing. In rotation, I could still see it played, But yeah, I could still see it played. Banish early drop. Something with last words even. Draw through your deck a little bit. Seems good to me. Alright. Talked about Rola. Moving on. Draconitron. 4/4/3. Machina Silver Dragoncraft follower. Fanfare, deal 2 damage to the enemy leader. Give +2 attack to another allied Machina follower. Very strong card in this aggro Machina deck that's starting to come together a little more here. Yeah, I expect to see it run. Petal Spine Stegosaurus. 5/5/5. Rush. Fanfare, discard a card. And it's a natural card. If it was a natural card, gain ward. Last words, draw a card. It's alright. Nothing amazing. It is a little bit more discard dragon support for your plesiosaur. And it's a pretty big body. That's very defensive. So it's okay. It's alright. I'm not super sold on this whole discard plan. Ship's Bane Plesiosaurus is cool, but right now I just worry that it's a directly worse version than Shadow's Corrosion. Hopefully I'm proven wrong though, but I don't really see why you would run this Natura discard package over just straight up Baldane play trees. But with enough support, it could become a thing. Especially with really, really good cards like the Plesiosaurus itself and several others that we can talk about here. In fact, a lot of the new dragon cards are discard cards. So, yeah, this one in particular I think is only okay, though. 5/5/5 Rush. Last words, draw a card. Discard potentially the Medic, which would be pretty cool. It's alright. It's alright. I really hope this discard thing is gonna be playable, but I am cautiously optimistic. I'll say that much. Dragoncraft Silver, Scalebound Plight, discard a card, draw a card. If Overflow is active for you, draw 2 instead. It's actually pretty good. If discard is going to be a thing, then this is definitely going to be played. Because cheap cycle plus cheap targeted discard. Great. I remember back in the day, your discards were mainly aimed at the lowest cost card in your hand. The fact that you can now target them specifically, so you can target stuff like the Dragoon Medic, which I think we talked about. Did we talk about this? I don't entirely remember. I think we did, yes. So the fact that you can target stuff like that is pretty nice. Okay, moving on. Tonfa Dragonute, 6/4/4, evolving into a 6/6. Bronze Machina. Crystallize 1, countdown 3 at the end of your turn, put an assembly droid into your hand. Fanfare, summon 3 assembly droids. I don't know about this so much. Putting assembly droids into your hand, I guess you could do this turn 1, but if you're really wanting to play aggro Machina, you probably want to play just a normal 1-drop on 1. The Fanfare on 6, I think, is too slow. I guess one application of this is to get assembly droids into your hand for fusion, but I guess the only fusion you can make use of as Dragon is Natural Machinus, right? And is that what you want to do? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think this card is really all that good in this upcoming aggro Machina deck that is forming itself in my mind. Maybe in a different style of deck, but I don't think the Natural Machinus is going to work with Machina in particular, or a pure Machina deck for Dragoncraft. I don't know, though. I don't know. Maybe somebody will come up with something creative. A Natural Machina Dragoncraft deck that uses both Natura and Machina cards. I just think that both Machina and Natura by themselves are probably better than the weird hybrid, but we'll see. I think this card is underwhelming. I'll say that much. Okay. Rock back Ankylosaurus. I hope I said that right. Ankylosaurus. 2/2/2. It's a word I've seen, but I've never said out loud. Bronze Natura. Fanfare, discard a card and deal 1 damage to a random enemy follower. Then, if a Natura card was discarded, deal 1 damage to the enemy leader. Last words, draw a card. I like that a lot of these discard cards have their own inbuilt cycle. That is quite nice. Again, don't know if discard is going to become a thing, but this is not a bad card. It's not an amazing card by any means. Not a bad card, though. It reminds me a lot of Fire Lizard, but it's random even, so yeah. Not super sold on this, but if you're running full discard, you pretty much want all the cheap discard followers you can get, right? So you can proc your Plesiosaurus as much as humanly possible, so we'll see if that deck is good. Fingers crossed. Dragon Folk's Whale, 3 play point. If this card is discarded, draw a card, deal 6 damage to an enemy follower. 3 play point, deal 6 damage to an enemy follower is incredible. Yeah, that's wonderful. If this card is discarded, draw a card. Also good in Discard Dragon. If you have Plesiosaur up, you can discard something like you can use the Scalebound Plight or anything else to draw a card and then draw another card and then activate Plesiosaur as well. That's pretty cool. So not a bad card at all. Alright, moving on to Shadowcraft now. Beastly Medium. 3/2/3. Put a natural and great tree into your hand and change its cost to 0. Yeah, it's alright. It's like a respite on a stick. Nothing too special. I don't think it's essential for Natural Shadow. 2/2/2 Tri-Scythe Reaper. Fanfare gain 2 shadows. In hand 6, destroy an enemy follower. Pretty good for Hades in particular. Getting 3 shadows for 2 play points immediately on 2 just makes it a much better Spartoy Sergeant. So, yeah, not bad. And plus, this in hand 6 is just additional little value you can get out of it. Fatal Order, 4 play points, reanimate 10, give that follower rush and the following effect. Banish this follower at the start of your next turn. Very good card. Very, very, very good card. You can reanimate He Who Once Rocked for some storm damage, or you can trade it in to reanimate 8. You can use it to reanimate Arcus, the new one. Run it in, and then it'll become essentially a 4/4, which is okay. So that's cool. Or if you play it not on turn 4, obviously it'll become whatever turn you're on. But that's quite good. So I think Fatal Order is quite a cool card. Has a lot of good targets now with He Who Once Rocked and Arcus. Sadly, I think Death's Mistress is rotating, which takes out a good Burial Rite and a summon target, but I think He Who Once Rocked and Arcus will try and carry that deck now. Right, Dancing Ghost, 4/3/3, summon a ghost and give it +1 attack. Or give all allied ghosts +1 attack. Enhance 8, summon 3 instead. I don't know. Mediocre, I think. It works with this other bronze, Ghastly Assault, that summons a ghost, or rather puts a ghost into your hand. So you can play that ghost alongside the Dancing Ghost, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's really fitting anywhere. Yeah. And it's pretty expensive for what it does, I feel like. It's a 3/3 that summons a 2/1 Storm, essentially. Which is okay. For 4, though, with not a whole lot of synergy with pretty much anything else, except for this and, I guess, Deadly Dreamer. Yeah, I don't think it's really that good. Okay, Spectral Servant, 3/1/1. Fanfare summon a Necrofauna, and hand 6, summon 2 instead. It's alright. 2 bodies. Getting a Necrofauna means you can potentially get another source of trees, or ping, or buff, as you know. It's okay, I think, this one. Yeah, not amazing, but it's okay. Whole-Spirited Necromancer. 5/3/4, Burial Rite, reanimate 5. I'm not super impressed. I think the only thing you really want to reanimate with this is Series, if anything else. But it's a 5-drop itself, so it can reanimate itself, which is kind of bad. And other than Series, there's really not a whole lot of other targets you want from this, so I don't think you run this most of the time. Okay, moving on to Blood now. La-di-da, talked about all of these. Moonlight Vampire, 5/2/4 silver, destroy an enemy follower or amulet. If Wrath, remember Wrath is 7 damage or more in a game, I believe. Double check that real quick. Yeah, Wrath, 7 times in a match. Okay. So you take 7 times damage in a match. You get Moonlight Vampire's effect of dealing 2 damage. Or rather, restoring 4 defense to your leader. That's pretty good. Otherwise, you deal 2 damage to your own leader. Okay. Not a bad card. It reminds me of well, it's basically execution on a body, right? Which is much better than execution. And you can evolve it on your Evo turn, so you can 2-for-1 really easily with this thing. Dealing 2 damage to your leader is not that bad. Because obviously that helps you activate Wrath on other cards. And restoring 4 defense once you've already activated Wrath is actually very, very good. Great defensive tool here. So, yeah, not too bad. Not an amazing card, but pretty alright. Hal Sphere Warrior, 2/2/2. If Avarice, so drawing 2 from your deck in a turn, is active for you, gain Storm. Great card. Wonderful card. Amazing with stuff like Unleash the Nightmare. And I think aggro Bloodcraft is going to be a thing. Because of, well, Garnet Waltz and Razory Claw, and now Hal Sphere Warrior helping that deck take off. I think aggro Blood is going to be very relevant. And if not relevant enough for rotation, then at least it's all of these great tools that are now going to be able to be added to the unlimited version, which is already pretty good. Wicked Pact, 2 play point spell. Destroy an enemy follower. If Vengeance is not active for you, deal X damage to your leader. X equals the destroyed follower's attack. Otherwise, deal 1 damage to the enemy leader. Amazing card. Amazing card. Works really well with the 2 play point Berserker that activates Vengeance for a turn for you. Or just by itself is actually fine as well, to be honest with you. Like, 2 play point destroy an enemy follower is just such a great effect. As long as you're not destroying something like ludicrously large while not in Vengeance, you'll be fine, I think. You can use this to take down Chizuru, which is awesome. Yeah, I think this card is just great. And I love the design of it. Vampiric Bloodbinder, 2/2/2. Deal 1 damage to your leader. Start of your next turn, draw a card. Amazing card. 2/2/2 that draws you a card, helps you proc Wrath, and drawing cards procs you Avarice as well. So, great card. Not a whole lot of downside. And helps you proc 2 of your own mechanics. So, pretty good. Aloof Archfiend. I think we've already talked about the Berserker. Yep. Aloof Archfiend, 5/2/5. Bane. Last words at the start of your next turn. Draw 2 cards. This one's a bit expensive. I think this one's more of a take 2 thing than anything. Probably won't play it in rotation. Cursebrand Strike, 3 play points. Deal 4 damage to an enemy follower. Summon a Cursebrand Vampire. If Vengeance is active for you, give +1/+1 to all allied followers. Not a bad card at all. 3 damage, deal 4 is pretty good. Summon a Cursebrand alongside it, so you get a body and you're dealing 4 damage. Pretty nice. Just think of it as a 3 play point 1/2 that deals 4 damage to an enemy follower. That's pretty good. If Vengeance is active for you, it also has this additional effect here. You can activate it with the Berserker, 2 play point Berserker. So, yeah, pretty cool. Next up, Havencraft. La-di-da-di-da. Holy Light Convert. Oh. Silver Ward. Enhance 8, summon another one. At the start of your opponent's turn, gain +2 for each allied follower with Ward in play. So it already just buffs itself by itself. So right off the bat, it's a 4 play point 3/5 with Ward, which isn't bad. Enhance 8, it becomes an 8 play point 10/10 with Ward, which is pretty good. And if you're playing Ward Haven anyway, I imagine you're playing 3 play point Cave Shrine and Wilbert and all this other stuff. This becomes huge, absolutely massive beat sticks for the opponent to get through. So pretty good, I think. Not super impactful insofar as they're just big bodies, but they are huge threats because if your opponent doesn't take them out, they just get bigger and bigger, right? So I think this will probably be played in Wardhaven. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Radiant Muse, 3/2/2, Silver Natura, Fanfare. If any allied Natura amulets are in play, gain +1/+1, subtract 1 from the countdown of all allied amulets. This card is awesome. I think Amulet Haven is really coming together now with a lot of these new Storm amulets, as well as Gabriel, which is going to really help out with that, because being able to get a Storm follower while you still have full play points for that turn, then you just play the Gabriel, that's going to be awesome. And this card is a huge part of that. So it's a 3.33 essentially if you have Meowskers or a tree or Featherfolk Sanctuary in play, which is awesome. And then subtract 1 from the countdown of all allied amulets. I mean, I was really considering playing Passing of Lore just to get Healing Prayer to make this deck work. Now I don't have to. I can just play this card. Subtracting 1 from the countdown of all allied amulets is awesome, especially with the amount of storm amulets you have now. You know, like I said, Meowskers, Featherfolk Sanctuary, Beast Call Aria is back, which we'll talk about soon in a card that got revealed today. And yeah. Also, the next card that we want to talk about, which is Pilgrim's Path. 2 play point silver, countdown 10, fanfare. If this is your 5th turn or later, put a Hallowed Dogma into your hand. If this is your 10th turn or later, put 2 into your hand instead. Whenever this card's countdown is reduced by an allied spell or effect, summon a Holy Falcon. Amazing card. Holy Falcon, of course, 2/1 Storm. Another card you can use with Radiant Muse. Get Holy Falcons. Works with all your other Storm stuff. Again, just more of this. And then getting Hallowed Dogmas for free. Pretty neat as well. So I really want to talk about Beast Call Aria, though. Where's Beast Call Aria? Okay, we'll skip a little bit, and we'll come back to this one. Yes, Fortune Foul. 3/3/1. Fanfare, summon a Beast Call Aria. Enhance 6. Subtract 3 from its countdown, so essentially just proc it immediately. I think this is going to be awesome. Alright, Beast Call Aria is one of the best amulets in Shadowverse history, especially back in the day, and I'm excited to see how it performs yet again in rotation, in a new way. Getting a Holy Falcon and a Holy Flame Tiger from a 2 play point card. Sadly, this does come out of a 3 play point card this time, instead of just being able to be played for 2 play points, but not too bad. You get this, then you can play the Radiant Muse to help get the countdown down as well. Another Storm amulet alongside Greywing Featherfolk and Forgotten Sanctuary to boost with amulet stuff with what's her name? The Saren, that's her name. I was thinking Orphanage Matron, but I couldn't remember her name for a second. Saren. So yeah, I think this amulet deck is starting to come together pretty nicely, and Radiant Muse is going to be a huge part of that. Okay, let's talk about Soul Sister now. Great card, by the way. 2/2/2. Not great card, but great card name, I should say. 2/2/2, ward, hands 5, summon a Pious Fox. I don't know, it's okay. I don't think it's going to be relevant. 2/2/2 ward is essentially just, well, it's a veteran lancer, isn't it? And then the enhance 5 summoning this thing. It's, not that good, I don't think, because it doesn't gain any stats either. So you're paying 5 play points for a 2/2. That doesn't impact the board that turn. So not impressed by this, but the name is very good. Next up, Blind Justice. Pretty cool. They have the Inquisitor on the card art. 2 play points. Banish an enemy follower. Restore 5 defense to the enemy leader. Pretty awesome, actually. Love the design. Not sure how good it's going to be. Yeah, that's about all I want to say. Maybe if you're playing the new Machina Haven, trying to get Aegis down, so you're not too concerned with their defense early on, but I don't know. This is a pretty heavy price to pay. But, you know, this card would be amazing in Seraph, but I think the time has passed for that card. So this card coming in a little late there. But, yeah, Banish an enemy follower for 2 obviously is great, but I don't know about this. Restore 5 defense to the enemy leader. I don't think this is really going to see a whole lot of play. Blah-de-de-blah. That's Haven done. Moving on. Portalcraft. Vibro Chakram Thrower. 8 play point 2/2. Fanfare, choose summon a Radiant or Prime. Alright. Accelerate 3, deal 3 damage to an enemy follower, and put a Paradigm Shift into your hand. Cool. I think this is probably going to be more relevant for the Accelerate 3 to get extra Paradigm Shifts, and the fact that it helps you control the board a little bit. So that's not bad. The Fanfare, it's nice, but I think 8 play points is a bit heavy for you to just be summoning 1 Radiant or 1 Prime. Yeah, I think on 8 it's just a little bit heavy. But on 3, it's wonderful. Getting more Paradigm Shift generators is pretty good. Especially with cards like Technomancer. Well, Paradigm Shift doesn't work with Technomancer, but the deck itself is helped by Technomancer. 1/1/1, Fanfare, select an allied artifact follower and put a copy of it into your hand. Very, very strong, especially with Syntonization. So you get to play Syntonization and then immediately just put a bunch of different artifacts into your hand. Well, all not different. You get to put a bunch of artifacts into your hand, which is wonderful. Yes, I think Artifact is quite exciting now. Hopefully, it's going to become a deck to play in the next expansion. Puppet Bomb. 4 play points, summon a puppet, then destroy X random enemy followers. X equals the number of allied puppets in play, then destroy all allied puppets. Pretty neat card, actually. Really great hard removal. If you can generate some puppets, right? You play what? Liked and what's some other puppet generators that are really good? You have Puppet Box, right? Which is really good now. Really great hard removal, though. You know, you essentially play 4 play points, and then you can clear their whole board if you played a bunch of puppet generators. So that's awesome. It's a shame that I don't think Puppet really has support as an archetype in and of itself right now, but as a control tool, totally you could run a couple of Puppet removal stuff, like Shock and other such cards, and then use them with Puppet Bomb to just completely wipe the enemy board for only 4 play points, which is pretty cool. Rather than being its own archetype, it looks like puppets are being a supporting role this time around. And this card is, I think, pretty cool and well designed for that kind of thing. Because you can spend your time in the early game amassing these puppets and then just in one turn get them all out. And stall, basically, until your Vertex Colony or your Kaiser. I think is awesome, because we all know how good Vertex Colony and Kaiser are, so being able to get through the mid game here and get to your ending win condition is pretty nice. Next up, Android Artisan, 2/2/2, put a Paradigm Shift into your hand. I think we already talked about this one, I think. Yeah, it's good. It's a way better generator than the 4 play point gold of Paradigm Shift. Magic Gunsmith, 3/1/3. Fanfare, choose, put, or summon rather, an analyzing artifact or ancient artifact. So 3 play point with a 3/1 rush or a 2/1 last words draw card. It's not bad. It seems like this artifact stuff is a lot less out of your deck now and more just get it in your hand or you summon it right away. Card is okay. You get 2 bodies out of this. Get an ancient, get an analyzing. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know. Paying 3 play points for a 1/1 body, kind of lame. But you can directly summon an ancient or an analyzing, so maybe you can use your synchronization for, well, use it for a bifurcating instead. Just try and up the amount of different artifacts that have been destroyed this game as quickly as possible, so that you can get your Modesty and your Vertex Colony to be as powerful as possible. And the fact that, again, this is just a really easy way to get immediate artifacts on the board, which helps you boost your paradigm shifts. I think this is probably better than it first appears. In a vacuum, it's pretty unimpressive, but hopefully with paradigm shifts, it becomes something that fuels that deck a little bit. And I think we've talked about the other 2 already. Okay. Cool. Neutral cards now. Let's go. La-di-da. Romantic Chanteuse. I have no idea how to say that. 3/2/3. Give an enemy the following effect until the start of your next turn. Reduce all damage dealt to 0. This is super cool. You can actually target the enemy leader with this, so you can completely reduce the amount of damage that, say, a Shadow's Corrosion does for a turn, which is awesome. That doesn't really stop the Storm followers that deck has, but you can help yourself in terms of actually being able to kind of counterplay Shadow's Corrosion, at least for a turn here, is pretty nice. Also, just the fact that this has some versatility. It's not bad stats for 3, and the fact that it can essentially it locks a follower, right? Kind of like Yuki Ono. Except it can also target the enemy leader. So, pretty nice. Pretty good neutral tool. Lucky Treasure Hunter, 3/2/3. If you have any Machina or Natura cards in your hand, discard one, then put 2 random cards that share a trait with that card from your deck into your hand. Pretty good card for Discard Dragon. So you can get back a bunch of your Natura cards by discarding stuff with this thing. Other than that, I don't know if anything wants to play this. I think they have enough draw. They don't really need this. The discard just seems like it helps the dragon archetype the most. Right? I mean, if you're playing Natura, you don't need help drawing because you have trees. If you're playing Machina, I don't know if you really need Plucky Treasure Hunter. Maybe you want it if you're really starved for a draw. I mean, let me see here. La-di-da. No, I don't think it's really necessary for other classes to run this. I'm not super sold on this. I think if anything, you'll run it in aggro dragon. Discard dragon rather. Okay. Last two here, Wayfaring Illustrator, 2/2/2. Select an allied Machina or natural follower and put a copy of it into your hand. Pretty good. 2/2/2, get more resources. Relevant in aggro Machina Dragon because they don't really have a whole lot of card draw. Relevant in, well, it's pretty flexible. You can play it pretty much anywhere. And the opportunity cost is very low because it's just a 2/2/2 by itself, which is fine to play. So if you're wanting to play a more value-based game, not a bad card to have. We've got a case! 6 play points, draw 3 cards, and deal X damage to an enemy follower. X equals the number of cards in your hand. So yeah, it's alright. It's not great. I think it's really, really expensive for what it does. But at least it is immediate removal that you can play. Maybe in a super controlling deck. I think more so in Take 2, this is going to be more relevant than rotation. Yeah, not bad, not great. Probably more in Take 2. Maybe if you're super controlling. Which is what I just said in a different way. Okay, great. Wow, that was a long card review video. 41 minutes and 30 seconds. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of these cards in the comments down below. World Uprooted pre-release is happening very soon. You can now build decks on Shadowverse portal as well. All of the cards are uploaded onto that. So you can now start theory crafting with that. That's pretty nice. Like the video if you did. Don't if you didn't. Subscribe for more Shadowverse content in the very near future. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you to my wonderful patrons. Really appreciate ya. I'll see you all next time with World Uprooted, pre-release pack versus pack against East. And that's it. See ya.